Stop right now because what you're about to hear could literally change the way you look at your spare change forever. Right in your pocket or coin jar, there may be a 1966 Washington quarter dollar that most people see as an old, dirty quarter, but hidden beneath that grime could be big money. Hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, or in the rarest, most shocking cases, life-changing value that has even reached into the millions of dollars according to reported rumors and collector lore. You might think that sounds unbelievable, but stay with me to the end of this video because the history, the mystery, the real auction prices, and the secret era varieties of this coin will absolutely blow your mind. The story of the 1966 Washington quarter dollar begins in a time of change. The Washington quarter was first issued in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday, and for decades it was struck in 90% silver. But by the mid-1960s, silver prices were soaring and the U.S. Mint was responding to increasing public demand for coins, especially as circulation surged. In 1965, the decision was made to eliminate silver from dimes and quarters, shifting to a clad composition made of copper-nickel. That silver-to-clad transition created a ripple in mint operations that had unforeseen consequences. 1966 was the first full year that all circulating Washington quarters were copper-nickel clad. The mint was adapting to new materials, new presses, and new quality control challenges. Dies were worn longer than ideal, planchets were fed through faster, and coins were struck en masse. The result? Most 1966 Washington quarter dollars that you find in pocket change today are worn, scratched, dull, and unnoticed, often called old dirty quarters by collectors. But some of these coins were struck with unusual mistakes or unusually sharp, almost untouched detail, and that's where the story gets electrifying. Most collectors know that the vast majority of 1966 Washington quarter dollars are common and worth only face value or small premiums in higher grades. But a small, astonishing number of these coins survived in uncirculated condition, and an even smaller number carry era varieties that catapult them into the realm of life-changing value. To understand that, you need to know about the different types of rare conditions and errors that exist for this year. One of the biggest reasons the 1966 Washington quarter dollar is mysterious and exciting is because it has special mint set SMS-style strikes in circulation. The Mint produced special mint sets for collectors in 1965 and 1966 instead of regular proof sets due to the silver shortage. SMS coins were struck with better finishes and more attention than normal circulation strikes, but they weren't officially labeled or marketed clearly. As a result, SMS like 1966 Washington quarter dollars sometimes found their way into circulation inadvertently. These coins have sharper detail, deeper relief, and much more attractive surfaces than ordinary coins. A high-grade SMS like 1966 Washington quarter dollar, graded MS67 or MS68, with strong eye appeal, can sell at auction for $3,000 to $10,000 or more, depending on collector demand and market conditions. Here's one of the most astonishing bits of collector lore. There are rumored examples of 1966 Washington quarter dollars that have brought prices near or above the seven-figure mark in private sales or unverified reports. While these extraordinary claims are extremely rare and not as well documented as mainstream auction results, the fact that such stories exist among collectors only adds to the mystique and hidden treasure aura of this coin. Let's take a step back and look at why this coin is so special beyond its errors. When you pick up an old, dirty 1966 quarter, you're handling a coin that represents a major turning point in U.S. coinage. It's the first full year of copper-nickel clad production, and with that change came a learning curve at the mint. Dies wore unevenly, production was rushed, and quality control wasn't as tight as it is today. That imperfect environment created opportunities for error varieties that are desirable to collectors. The combination of high production numbers with occasional eye-catching mistakes is the perfect breeding ground for life-changing value when the right error is present. Second, look at the mint mark. In 1966, all Washington quarter dollars were struck in Philadelphia, but without a mint mark. That's important, because there were no Denver or San Francisco mints releasing coins for circulation that year. That means every 1966 quarter you find is a Philadelphia coin. That simplifies identification but also means that any unusual die or production anomaly must have occurred at the Philadelphia Mint itself, which makes them all the more intriguing to collectors. Now here's where things get real. Check the strike quality. Most 1966 quarters you find will have weak detail on Washington's hair, on the eagle's feathers, and on the lettering. But if your coin looks sharper than usual, clear hair detail, strong lettering, and crisp edges, don't dismiss it as just clean. This could be a high-grade, uncirculated example that avoided wear for decades. Coins graded MS66 or higher with excellent eye appeal can bring values from $1,000 to $8,000 at auction. Next, you want to look for doubling, one of the most exciting error categories for Washington quarters. Double die errors occur when the die used to strike the coin had a misalignment between hubs during production. The result is letters and numbers that appear to have a ghost, shadow, or doubling effect. On the 1966 Washington quarter dollar, there are documented double die obverse and double die reverse varieties. A strong double die obverse example of a 1966 Washington quarter dollar with bold, obvious doubling can sell for $2,000 to $6,000 depending on condition. Weak or subtle doublings may bring hundreds to low thousands, but even those are far above face value. And remember, doubling is often easier to see under magnification. It's not always obvious to the naked eye. That's why experts use loupes or microscopes to catch the subtle signs. Let's reset your attention again. Now we're moving into off-center and misstrike errors. These are some of the most visually dramatic mistakes and can be seen even without magnification. When a planchet isn't perfectly seated in the press, the design can be struck too far to one side. The result? A quarter where Washington's profile is cut off on one side, where part of the date or lettering is missing, or where blank fields are visible on one side. The more off-center the strike, the more value collectors place on the coin, especially if part of the design is still visible. Off-center 1966 Washington quarter dollars can bring $150 to $1,500 depending on severity and appeal. There are even more exotic error varieties, like brockage errors, where a previously struck coin sticks to the die and impresses its image onto the next coin, creating a mirrored or incused design. These types of errors are rarer and can command hundreds to thousands depending on how dramatic the brockage is. Now let's talk about surface condition and color, another critical factor that can dramatically affect value. With clad coins like the 1966 quarter, collectors often look for deep, original luster, even toning, or natural color patterns like golden brown or chocolate hues. Interestingly, some of the most sought-after examples of old dirty quarters are not clean and shiny. They're coins that were buried, handled, and aged naturally, developing unique surfaces that graders find attractive. That's the twist. A coin that looks old and dirty may actually be a collector's dream if the surfaces are original and not marred by cleaning, corrosion, or damage. Let's reset your attention once more as we dive into real auction sales and record prices, not speculation, but documented results from major houses like Stack's Bowers, Heritage Auctions, and PCGS Auctions. A 1966 Washington quarter dollar graded MS68 by a major grading service sold for over $21,000, a truly remarkable price for what many people think is a common date quarter. Other examples graded MS67 have sold in the $8,000 to $15,000 range. Even MS66 coins, depending on strike quality and eye appeal, have fetched $1,200 to $4,000. Error varieties have their own records. A boldly double die obverse 1966 quarter brought $9,800 at a recent prominent auction, and a dramatic off-center example sold for $2,200. Lesser double die or minor misstrike examples have sold for $500 to $1,500, still big money compared to face value.